Hey buddy, watch this.
Hello, hello, Regis Kilbin is the name, and Hearthstone is the game, and welcome to my latest Decksperiment, where I take a crazy good, awful, interesting, intriguing idea for a deck, and build that deck live right here in this video, and then take the deck out onto the ranked ladder and see how it performs. And the card I'm testing, the card I'm experimenting with, the inspiration for today's deck, as you might have guessed based on the screen, is the Menagerie Magician, just released today in the One Night in Karazhan adventure, and I'm very intrigued by this card. In my review, I said I didn't think it'd be very good, just because it's probably hard to get this effect to go off consistently, but I've pulled back on that a little bit. I think the card actually has some potential, just because even if it only hits one minion at a time, it might actually be halfway decent. And if you hit 2 or 3, it's sort of overpowered. So who knows? Maybe Menagerie Magician is good after all. And of course, it synergizes it seemingly quite well with the other card, Zoo Bot, that have not had a chance to give some play yet. And this one also has the same effect, but the stats are +1/+1, and it's a 3-mana 3/3. So, you know, a better body for the cost, perhaps, but an effect that's a little weaker as well. So, fundamentally, the two of these cards are going to make up this Menagerie deck, this Zoo deck, whatever it might be. Now, you know, despite the name, I don't actually think maybe Warlock, which is typically known for Zoo, is the best class. Because if you think about Warlock, there aren't a lot of dragons that make sense in Warlock. There are a couple beasts that make sense in Warlock, like Direwolf Alpha, but there aren't really any Murlocs that make sense in Warlock either. So of the three tribes that you're trying to hit with these Menagerie cards, I don't think Warlock is the class. I think if you look through who has the best of each of these cards that makes sense, the one you have to look at first is Murlocs, because most classes really don't have Murloc cards or Murloc synergies. There's really Shaman and Paladin that have been given Murloc cards. Shaman less so lately, but Paladin still does have some good Murloc cards in its standard set, namely the Murloc Knight, which has potentially a ton of value, but also the Vilefin Inquisitor is a nice little 1-drop that if you can buff up, gets kind of nuts. So I think to make this work, you might have to play a Paladin deck. And of course, Paladin also has some Dragon cards, namely one that came out today, a Dragon Synergy card, a Nightbane Templar, that is another sort of Zoo-style board presence, aggressively stanced card. So who knows? Maybe a Zoo-style, and what I mean by Zoo-style, of course, is a deck that tries to build a board and then leverage that board for very efficient trades and just continue to pile on and just push your opponent over with a wall of minions, very wide board of guys. Maybe a Paladin Zoo-style deck, an aggro Paladin, makes sense. Now, aggro doesn't mean face. We're going to have some, you know, at least a 5-drop in the deck. So who knows, it might transform a little bit into a mid-range style deck, but by the time we run Menagerie Magician and Murloc Knight and who knows what else, but mid-range Paladin as an archetype has been something that's worked in the past. So I think I've already settled on Paladin as my class of choice. We're going to call this the Menagerie. Oh my god, that's got blocks. Menagerie Paladin. I hope to god I spelled Menagerie right. It's a difficult word to spell. I think we got it right. Yeah, we did. Cool. So, alright, so we know for sure that we're going to run the Zoobot and the Menagerie Magician, right? Those are the things we definitely want. I think we also know for certain that we're going to run the Murloc Knight, because it's a Murloc, and the Vilefin Inquisitor. And the cool thing about Vilefin Inquisitor, right, not only is its body itself good as a Murloc, but your hero power means you always have Murlocs that can be buffed +2/+2. And you might have multiple Murlocs that can be buffed +2/+2. So that's pretty cool. It's almost like the card Quartermaster to arms, but it's instead a little better stats, arguably, as a 4/4, and it works on not just your Silverhand recruits, but potentially other minions on the board as well. So it's really sort of a better Quartermaster. And of course, when I talk about Quartermaster, where did that card come from? Is that a Grand Tournament card? Is that still in Standard? I don't think so, right? It's I guess it's a GVG card, so we can't quite see it. So out of the format now, but maybe this is just a better version of that, and Zoobot even works with it as well. So let's go back to standard cards. Now, I think we do want to add in at least one other Murloc, but let's search each tribe and see what makes sense. Sir Finley, I think, sort of does. Yeah, he does. I was worried that he might steal some Vile Fin Inquisitor value, but remember, even if a hero power is transformed by Sir Finley, the Vile Fin can transform it back. So just depending on the order here, these will still work well together. But what other Murlocs are there? This is a pretty good card in general, but you do lose a little bit of Murloc stuff. And by the way, one option here is to run, and this is something we haven't talked about yet, but one option is to run Anyfin Can Happen and try to build like a combo Murloc out of this. But I don't really think that's what this deck's going to be about, right? Murloc Paladin, as such, already exists. It's a very late game control style deck. Keep everything in check forever until you're able to pull off 2 Anyfin Can Happens with Murloc War Leaders and Bluegill Warriors in order to win the game with combo damage. That's its own deck. That's not what this is going to be, right? This is more consistent on-curve minions, buffing your board, getting value trades, taking small minions and making them awesome, and so on and so forth. So I really don't think we do want to see the Vile Fins. I don't think that's right. I am intrigued, though, by Cold Light Oracle, because, you know, the thing about a Zoo deck that makes it so good is the ability to refill its hand. This Paladin deck is likely going to be a little shy when it comes to card draw. So the Cold Light Oracles are something we get to run card draw, and we get to buff them as well with our Menagerie cards. So maybe the Cold Light Oracle makes sense. We'll have to think about that some more. I actually don't know that I want War Leaders and Seers. You know, you can go that route and try to get some crazy Murloc stuff. Maybe we do run War Leaders just because a buffed War Leader with like Vile Fin Inquisitor guys out is kind of insane. You know, it suits the board buff mentality of the deck. Plus, it's a 3-mana 3/3, which is not just terrible on its own. Unlike the Cold Light Seer, which can kind of be bad if you have to play it by itself. It's a 3-mana 2/3, not quite as good as the War Leader. So maybe the War Leader can have a home after all. Corrupted Seer, I don't think we want to run because we are going to have non-Murlocs ourselves. I think we want a Curator, though. Intriguingly enough, you know, as this deck takes shape, I think more and more it's a mid-range deck because, you know, dragons in particular are not going to be early cost cards usually. So we may have to skew towards, you know, 6-7 mana cards to finish off the top of our curve. And the Curator could be a really nice way to refill our hand if we get to turn 7 and we don't really know what else to do. So I think that's our Murloc set, right? We basically added, you know, 3, 5, 7 Murlocs. I think I'm actually going to take the Cold Lights out for now. It might get added back in, but I'm not sure. So up next, the question is what beasts do we run? Why are we only seeing... Okay. What beasts do we run? I really like the idea of Direwolf Alpha. It's really good with Silverhand Recruits and or Murloc Silverhand Recruits. Just, you know, a lot of small guys getting buffed up by Direwolf is a great strategy, so I think that's going to fit nicely for our deck. Huge Toad is sort of a value beast that gets run a lot. Jeweled Scarab is intriguing, but I don't think strong enough. You know, it's not really about card draw for us, it's more about board presence. Pantry Spider's a little intriguing, right? And I think this is a bad card, but if you talk about it as a buff body, a minion that's likely to stick around, or at least have half of it stick around, it might pull that off pretty well sometimes, which means it might get buffed by your Zoobot and turn, you know, into a 2/4 basically instead of a 1/3. But also your Menagerie Magician. Plus, if we run anything like Blessing of Kings, this body could work. So that's That's an intriguing premise. There's also like Mookla's Champion, right? This is another buff board, or excuse me, board buff card. I do wonder if it's a little too slow, though. I think all these are going to be too slow. Although Mookla's intriguing, I don't think it works. Tomb Spider's kind of cool. But again, more about card draw than board pressure, so I don't know that it's perfect. We already have some ways to sort of generate resources between Murloc Knight and the Curator. So we may not have to worry too much about running out of cards. Kodo's intriguing too. That's probably something I'd expect to see in a more control-oriented deck, though, that's about removal. You know, usually you combo this with the Aldor Peacekeepers and the Humilities, so I don't know that I love it here. I think Pantry Spider is the most intriguing option, which I never thought I'd say, just because I don't know that I like this card. It might actually work okay in this deck. It's good with Direwolf, it's good with both the buff cards, it's good with other Paladin buff cards. Let's add it to the list for now and see where it goes. So right now, though, we only have 4 Beast cards, which I suspect is not enough to consistently get off Menagerie buffs. The Curator will certainly draw one, but maybe we add in some huge toads for now. The King Mookla is kind of intriguing, particularly with Cold Light Oracles. You could almost run a Baby Mill style where you try to burn opponents' cards, but that's going to be pretty greedy and hard to pull off. So Mookla is also kind of cool. If we think this is a mid-range deck, maybe there's room for Mookla. Maybe we just want to draw into Mookla with the Curator, right? The bananas are good with everything else we're doing as buff cards. He is a beast, so he gets buffed himself. Gives us one more beast to work with, so that'd be 7 beasts, right? We got 6 here to Pantry Spider and 7. How many Murlocs did we say we had? 3, 5, 7 Murlocs. I'm detecting a theme. So now what do we do with dragons, right? I think this is probably, honestly, the most challenging to fit this deck. Oh, dragons is not what we want here for the search term. We want dragon. There is the Nightbane Templar, which is a pretty cool card. Pretty nice card. The Dragon Consort also is neat, but I don't really think this one fits the curve, right? Because it's 5 and all the buff cards like 3 and 5, so you're not gonna have this on the board to get buffed by your Menagerie Magician ever. Now you might have the Curator draw it out, but I don't think Dragon Consort works. So I think we have to go with cheaper dragons, right? The problem is there just really aren't any. There's the Fairy Dragon for sure. It's really good, and there's perhaps the Dragonkin Sorcerer. Actually, Dragon Egg works. This is not a dragon itself, but the whelps it summons are dragons. So this could be a really nice early board presence card. Gets activated by buffs, gets activated by Direwolf Alpha, gets any of the things it spawns do get buffed by the Zubot and the Magician. So maybe that works. And I like the idea of having it just out on the board too. But what other dragons? Is there any other dragon we can afford to run? Maybe like a Draconid Crusher? Sort of like the Dragon Warrior style. I don't really like that though. Simply because, again, it's so late game that it's never going to get buffed very well. The Curator could draw it, but if you want the Curator to draw like a really hit dragon, perhaps you want it to draw you a late game oriented card like Onyxia or Deathwing as sort of a last resort finisher, right? And if you do that, do you want to guarantee it? Do you want to give up your fairy dragons and give up your dragon eggs? I don't think so. I don't think that's right. I think we do want to just be sure that we have consistent plays. So is the Dragonkin Sorcerer it? We're a little light on 4s for a mid-range deck, right? And it's good with buffs. It's got a solid body. So maybe that's a start. Do we run some Azure Drakes for one more little round of card draw? This makes the deck look a little more mid-rangey, right? But I worry that, you know, now we're at 29 cards when we finally add in the Nightbane. And we have 6 dragon activators. That's enough for the Nightbane. But is the deck just too full now? Did we lose all of our utility, right? We lost all of the Paladin utility spells that we want. Like, where are all the buffs? Like, do we want Blessing of Mights? Do we want weapons? Do we want Seal of Champions? Seems like it could be pretty good. Blessing of Kings is a pretty good card. Consecration's a good card. True Silver can do work. You know, is it worth giving up Blessing of Kings? Maybe we take out the War Leaders? This was the one that, you know, I felt perhaps was one of the weaker options. Maybe we take out the Pantry Spiders. I don't know that, particularly with less and less buffs, I don't know that these are good. Alternatively, maybe we take out the Huge Toads. We're a little heavy on the 3 spot, so I guess maybe we cut one of each, right? We cut a Pantry Spider, we cut a Murloc War Leader, and we cut a Nightbane Templar. Smooths out our curve. We still get each doing their own thing at different times. And that allows me to add in some other good, really good cards, right? Like Blessing of Kings. Maybe 1 Seal of Champions. Do we need a weapon? Weapons certainly are high tempo. But, you know, playing a weapon means you don't play a minion. And we really want to have minions out. And we want our minions to do good stuff. So doesn't Seal of Champions just enable our minions to trade a lot better? As does Blessing of Kings. Aren't these just trade-up cards? Yeah, maybe they are. Maybe this is the list, right? This looks like a pretty mid-rangey curve. Maybe a little more aggressive than a true mid-range deck, but not really. It could probably use a couple really strong late-game finishers that we don't have right now. We have basically 2 late-game cards. But enough card draw, really, with Azure Drakes and the Curator that we can refill our hand along the way. We may not totally run out of cards. I still don't feel great about the Dragon Egg, though, despite the Blessing of Kings and Seal of Champions. But maybe I should. Maybe I should feel good about it, because the only other dragons I have to buff, really, are the Fairy Dragon and the Dragonkin Sorcerer. So, yeah, I think I like this. I think this is a sensible list. I think it's cool. Now, I will say, I'm very concerned that trying to run 3 tribes might just split your deck design a little too much, right? In other words, you could have just a deck full of all dragons, and Zubot would still buff a dragon, right? This is sort of the greedy option where we try to get 3 buffs out of the Zubot and the Menagerie Magician every time, instead of just 1 or 2 more consistent buffs. So, you know, it's still probably going to hit once or twice per play, or maybe 0 if our deck isn't aggressive enough. But I think it's worth testing. This is a list that's going to have a lot of fun opportunity in it. So let's call this the Menagerie Paladin, and we'll call it a day on this list. And I think we'll go ahead and take it out onto the ranked ladder to see just how it performs. And I'm pretty excited because there are actually quite a few new Karazhan cards in this list that I have not really played with yet. You know, between the Pantry Spider and the Curator and lots of other Zubot Menagerie cards, there are some neat new pieces here. It's going to be fun to see the stuff in action. Okay, we got probably a real Zoo deck, which is fun. We have the coins, so the Fairy Dragon into the Direwolf is pretty intriguing. We could also keep the Pantry Spider. The Fairy Dragon and the Direwolf is 4 damage, though, and it's unlikely he really plays 4 damage. So I think I'm gonna actually look for other stuff. We'll keep the Fairy Dragon and try to find some 1-drops and some 2-drops and some more flexibility. So we got sort of halfway there, right? We can coin Fairy Dragon, Fairy Dragon. We don't have a turn 3 if we do that, though. We got all of our dragons at once. Let's try this, right? We don't know for sure what kind of deck this is. Fairy Dragon can be pretty good against a lot of early Zoo stuff, though. Might be a control-style Warlock, though, it seems. In which case, he may have trouble dealing with this, unless he has Demon Wrath, in which case our board gets destroyed. But that's okay, we have a lot of 4-drops, no 3-drops yet. No Demon Wrath, so he's going to take a ton of damage. I'm going to play this. Well, it plays into Hellfire a little, though. It doesn't really buff anything, so actually I'm not going to play it. I'll probably play the Dragonkin Sorcerer instead of the Murloc Knight. Depending on what he does, right? We'll have to see. You know, if he throws out a Shadow Bolt on the Silverhand Recruit, this is probably going down. Because this is good against Hellfire. Oh, we made the right call there. But it's bad against Shadow Bolt. This is actually good against Shadow Bolt. So, the 5 health might be hard for him to kill. It's a good chance 4 health is much easier for him to deal with. That looked like a Earthen Ring Farseer coming down. I'll be able to seal the champions or probably just Azure Drake. I don't think I'll have to buff this just yet. I want the seal, even though it'll make this a 7 attack guy. It's not like it's going to kill him, so he could just Siphon Soul it next turn and the Divine Shield won't matter. I think I'd rather get some sort of value out of the Divine Shield. If we get the Menagerie Magician, she'll go down for sure. A 4/7 is, or excuse me, a 5/7 is nuts. So there was the Shadow Bolt Mortal Coil. So he can do 5 damage. We made the right call on our play, by the way. He's oh, we did draw that. Cool. So we'll Azure Drake on curve, right? There's not a better play. Oh boy, we got the nuts. Murloc Knight Hero Power is really good too, though. So we'll have to wait and see how he handles the Azure Drake. There might be a lethal scenario too, right? This is 4 damage, no, we're at 8, so not lethal just yet. But this is a pretty scary hand when you look at it. There's some, like if we get to turn 10 or something, Murloc Knight into Murloc War Leader into Zubat is a nutty turn. Depending on who the buff hits, I guess, but... By the way, I didn't try to address any mech synergies in this list. Adding a 4th tribe into the equation is pretty tough, and there weren't really any good mech synergies in Paladin. Unless we go back to Shielded Minibot, perhaps. But no cards benefit from mechs very well, unless we go back, of course, to Wild format. So he does not know what to do with this. He's just used a bunch of removal. He's probably thinking about Reno. We know he has an Earthen Ring Farseer. That's all we know that he has. He's not conceding, it looks like, because he's hovering over stuff. He has to play a card. My god. Or maybe not. Maybe he just doesn't have to play a card. We could Pantry Spider Zubat, but I really just think Murloc Knight Hero Power is the best. Hopefully we get a Bluegill Warrior and we can run it in. Not a Bluegill Warrior. We've seen the Hellfire, so I think if I make this trade, it kills most of my board, but does not perhaps kill the Murloc Knight, particularly since we've also seen the Mortal Coil. He might have just gave up or AFK'd. It looked like he was hovering over cards, so he still does, so I don't know. I think he's giving up, which means we're going to get a cool, a very cool Menagerie Magician turn for lethal. Cool, so these two got the buff. Might as well do this too, just in case we get a War Leader. No, we got the Bluegill Warrior instead. It'll do too. Yeah, what do you know? Not the worst deck I've ever played, seems like. Guy AFK'd, but I think he was feeling a little overwhelmed. We played around the Hellfire well, and the Fairy Dragons were brutal. That's where all his damage came from, so really good start there if he doesn't have the option to Shadow Bolt to deal with him. Or the Demon Wrath. By the time he Hellfires, he's taking like 9 or 12 damage or something, and then the Hellfire almost just adds on to the pile. Because you're doing another 3 to yourself. Alright, so we got some 2-drops. I'd really like to see one of the 1-drops. We definitely don't want Mukla. I'll keep the Furry Dragon to play around like Quick Shot and stuff. It probably still just trades into the Fiery Bat. So it's probably not good, but like I said, I'm looking for a 1-drop, honestly. Oh, that'll work. I'll take that. It's really good against Fiery Bat. Most of the time. Half the time. Yeah, we'll take, this is actually sort of tough. I don't care about my health so much, so Dagger Mastery theoretically gives me, more value out of each hero power, right? And I don't want to spend a ton of mana hero powering, although I do have the Murloc Knight, and it is Hunter, so taking face damage could be pretty punishing. We'll go ahead and take the Pyroblast, even though I think I just said Pyroblast. I wish we got the 2-mana Pyroblast. That would make Sir Finley awfully good. Well, we just revealed our hand. He knows what's up. So, right, we could trade here, and it's like, yeah, we could, but we're not going to. This gives him this line, right? But if he does do that, I can ping and perhaps trade up into his next card. Well, that got worse, but... you know, honestly, Seal of Champions trade, it feels pretty bad, but he may have trouble dealing with it, because he can't quick-shot it. And that means I could have a 6-attack minion that lives through the turn. I mean, obviously, ping is the best line most of the time, I guess, but this does get me a lot of pressure on the board. What's he gonna do? Animal Companion Leok would set up a trade, I guess. Do I just play the Pantry Spider? Maybe try to seal it next turn. Go face. He'll have to trade this way anyway. I'm a little scared to just give up the board, right? Like, I want stuff on the board. This is an iffy play. It's an iffy play. It gives him the good trade. But it gives me the board. Yeah, he got the Leok, so... it actually turned out okay. How we played that. This is not activated, unfortunately. This is bad. Seal Champions, though, allows me to trade up into the Leok and live. Unfortunately, though, I can't kill the big bad wolf very effectively. Alternatively, I could ping, but then I don't have a play. I wish I had a 2-mana minion. It would really change the scope of the game, but instead we're going to have to do this. Oh, arguably I did that incorrectly, right? Oh, well, I couldn't have. Never mind. It'd be nice if I could have attacked first and then Divine Shielded, but of course it wouldn't have killed it, so it's silly. Really just the only way I could. So we've lost the board. I may regret not pinging later. But right now I don't actually. I'm going to play this just to die, right? It's really sad that we don't have a dragon. But I don't want to waste an entire turn. I'm well aware, bro. I'm very aware. He's going to weapon this. Maybe. He might just go face. That's intriguing. That sucks that we drew the dragon 1 turn late. Yeah, we'll clearly have to do this. Let's actually test and see what Murloc we get first, though, right? It could make a difference. No difference. So I'm going to have to win real fast. Well, it sounds like he has lethal. He's got 6, 8 we know of. That's 10, and that's 15, so a little overkill. Yeah, that sucked. Our curve was just very awkward, right? Like, we never had what we needed to fill in our curve. We didn't have the 2-drop to enable the pings. I think we floated a mana on 4 with the Seal of Champions. Everything just felt a little off. You got those games where stuff just doesn't hit when you need it to. It happens. I don't think that's an indictment on the deck just yet. Because the deck has pretty solid curve as far as we should be able to find stuff when we need it. Like this is a nice 1-2. Honestly, it's not even a bad 1-2-3. There's a chance the Vilefin might live, and there's even a chance... Oh, that's a better 3, probably, if I keep the Fairy Dragon. Because I can Vilefin into Hero Power, and depending on how he handles it, I can do one of two things on 3, right? I can Murloc 2 Murlocs. That thing's annoying. Come on, bro. Don't be a jerk. I can also coin out the Nightbane next turn if I need to. Like, there's stuff I can do. I like the flexibility here. Wrath is sort of problematic. That's not so bad. I can actually coin War Leader, right? And this will go to 4, and it'll kill this. The War Leader will theoretically survive to the Enchanted Raven. If I coin the Nightbane, I get a lot of value. He's not on a swipe turn yet, but this guy can't really do much this turn. And I can still Nightbane to like refill my board next turn. So I think I want to kill beasts, right? Unfortunately, I can't clear the board, but I can get things started. And it may force him to hero power down the War Leader. In which case, this is maybe going to live. So, we'll see. It's not the strongest War Leader ever, right? But Living Roots enables him to full clear, which is kind of bad for me. But still, his board is empty, and I get to play the Nightbane on an empty board. It's bad to swipe, but, oh, his board's not empty. Oh, because he traded favorably, right? This is still bad to swipe, but I think it's the right line. 3 minions means that Blessing of Kings might hit next turn. That doesn't really matter that it's at 1 health. Nothing is... Oh, man. Blessing of Kings is gonna wreck! Yeah, you gotta go face there. That would have felt really bad to do it the other way. Alright, so we're in a great spot. He just played a dead Violet Teacher. He Living Roots as well, so he may have to, I don't know, swipe or Wrath this, and he may not be able to. We'll just make that trade and finish this off. Ooh, it doesn't really help, though. So we'll save that, right? Doesn't really help just yet. The question is, do I Pantry Spider or... In other words, I think there's probably a way to get everything out on the board, right? Yeah, I can play these two. And next turn I can Finley Menagerie, and we'll get to buff all 3. Plus, of course, Druid can have trouble dealing with a full board like this. So I think this is going to hit. I think this is going to hit really big. Yeah, this is actually insane, guys. This is actually insane. I'm really excited about this. This is fun. I think Life Tap is always the best option 99% of the time. And now we have a Giganto board. The question is, do we kill these or not? I think I don't, right? Mark of Yasharaj makes them 5/4, so it could trade pretty awkwardly, but I have so much damage to push. I feel like if I spend time cleaning these up, it's just going to be a nightmare for me. Yeah, there's Savage Roar and stuff, but he's got a monster board. How does he deal with all these 4 health, 5 health, 5 health, 3 health? Yeah, there's just no way he can kill all this with his board. That was fun. That was a good game. Look at that board, guys. Wide board. Pantry Spider MVP. Menagerie Magician MVP. And about 7 most valuable players there. Wow. I liked that from top to bottom, honestly. Wow. That was a perfect example of what I'm trying to accomplish with this deck. Perfect example.
The light shall bring victory. I will fight with honor.
Okay, so this is a good 1-2. We'll look for better stuff on the other side. Those are a little expensive, of course. Okay. This is intriguing, right? We've got options. We can coin double Murlocs out if we see the War Leader, maybe. He's not getting a good card, at least. We know his card sucks. I hope it's Finley or the Vilefed, because he might feel really awkward playing those, depending upon what's in his deck or what his archetype is. Alright, well that's easy to deal with. I think that means I play the Fairy Dragon. Just because he won't be able to contest it very well. The Direwolf next turn and Finley gives me a pretty big board. Bad to Holy Nova, but he doesn't have the coin, so he's still a few turns off of Holy Nova. So we're looking for the Zubot, right? We're looking for Menagerie, Magician, Resurrect. That's not very exciting, honestly, is it? So we'll just trade this in, and we'll play the Direwolf. We'll play Sir Finley. I'm a little sad that we're losing my hero power, but it's okay. Yeah, Fire Blast is still okay. Dagger Mastery is also good. We'll just take Fire Blast. We're getting a little low on cards. Sort. Oh my god, that's literally the only card he has. My god. He just Shadow Word Pained. What do you guys think? I think it's not worth the risk. I think we're going to coin Azure Drake and go for the guaranteed Murloc later. We could Blessing of Kings, but of course you can't cast Blessing of Kings on Fairy Dragon. So, it's going to be tough. Should be pretty clear to him by now what our deck is about. He's seen a Beast, a Dragon, and a Murloc, so he must have a pretty good idea. Nothing's really good against this board. Holy Nova, it's like you leave a 4-2. Activated Evil, you leave a 4-1. I've never seen this many loot hoarders in my life. My god, dude. This is the loot hoarder show. We'll just trade it again, I guess. Play some more 4-4s. Priest typically does not love 4-4s, so... gosh, we might just be able to end the game soon. We have 11, and this is 4 for 15, 16 damage next turn, theoretically. Oh, actually, more than that with the Direwolf. Is that lethal? Yeah, if he heals that thing, I think it's lethal, right? We have 8, 11, this is 13, and this is 17. Ugh. I guess we do it anyway, right? It's going to be very hard for him to kill everything. Well, actually, it might not, right? If he, he can't Shadow Word Death and Holy Nova, so I think it would be very hard for him to kill everything. So we're going to go for it. If he doesn't heal face, too, yeah. If he doesn't heal face, he's got to deal with a ping, right? So it's not a lot of outs there. Man, is our deck good? Guys, is this deck good? I kind of think this deck is good. I kind of think it's good. It's just Zoo Paladin. Quite literally Zoo Paladin. It's cool because Murloc Knight gives you like an extra late game threat, basically. Some good... you've got the good Dragon Synergy card. You've got Vilefin Inquisitor too, which is nice. I think we got to send all this back, right? It's Shaman. We want a good start. Not the best start without the coin. That doesn't really help. Fairy Dragon probably is something that lives. It's not great against Rockbiter though, so it loses some of its immunity that it has against other classes, right? Huge Toad theoretically kills that, so we'll play the Huge Toad. At the very least, he probably doesn't feel great about making that trade. Oh man, I never get RNG, guys, never. Pantry Spider's good here, though, because of the Blessing of Kings. There's no way he's going to kill both of these. He's not going to waste a Rock Biter. He's just going to Tuskar Totemic or Coin Flame Wreath. That's fine. We can kill that very easily for free. We got a big body now. That's a Hex target. If he has Hex, he has to waste a Hex on a Pantry Spider. That can't feel good. Well, called it, didn't I? That's a beast, guys. Remember, that's a beast. Do we do it? Do we just 4-5 the... Do we just go nuts with the frog? Yeah, I think we do. If he hexes it, he can't deal with the Murloc Knight next turn. I still don't really know exactly what kind of deck this is. I'm presuming just standard mid-range shaman. But I don't know. I have a feeling something weird's going to happen. That's not so weird. But not so good either. We don't have any AoE in our deck, right? So we kind of have to always trade the board. But this is a great play against everything but probably Lightning Storm. Oh, I ended turn before. Oh, God. Yes. Even Lightning Storm may not be good now. It's his whole turn. Depending on the roll, it's very almost impossible for him to kill both my Murlocs, right? It's so unlikely. It's possible, but it's unlikely. No, he didn't get to. Cool. So, this is nuts. Oh, well, he had the Lightning Bolt mana. That's a little sad, but this is going to kill him when I play this. God, even that is good as well, but I think right now we're going to go for this, guaranteed. Second War Leader? No. That's alright, though. We'll take it. You got another one? Second Hex. Okay, I dig it, but this is going to be amazing now. Because he gave me a beast. He actually gave me a beast. And I can play a dragon, too. Oh, God. Oh, what have we done? What have we done, guys? We've created a monster of a deck. I'll go ahead and play this, too. We've seen one Lightning Storm. Guys, we made a monster! Oh, I love it. Maelstrom Portal's a good start if he has the other Lightning Storm. Oh, Shifter Xeris, no! Oh, Shifter Xeris, no. Yeah, guys. I think we got a deck. It's really going well. That's actually going to wrap it up for me in the video. I think we've seen exactly what the deck can accomplish. I don't want to drag it on too much. I don't think we're going to reveal too much more than we've seen because the deck is working. Pantry Spider's good, believe it or not. I don't know that we've seen the Direwolf really shine yet, but I still think it fundamentally fits. We haven't seen the Dragon Egg at all, so this is still a potential drop, I think. I don't know. I think there's better cards than this to be played. Maybe it's just a Blessing of Might. You know, I don't know what it is. Maybe a weapon, a True Silver or something. Perhaps even a Selfless Hero sounds like it could fit. Another Nightblade Templar would be nice. You know, another Murloc War Leader maybe. So this is probably a cut eventually. But beyond that, man, everything felt pretty good. Maybe no Dragonkin Sorcerers are necessary, but it's another threat, so I kind of like it. Did we ever play Zubat? Maybe once, but really the Menagerie Magician does work. That's 6/6 buff. We've gotten it multiple times. Pretty consistently able to pull off the 6/6 buff. So, I don't know, guys. Menagerie Paladin, is it a thing? Maybe it is. I'm going to keep playing this on the ladder. And if I'm able to refine the list and really climb with it, I'm going to do a full deck guide on this one because it seems like it's got legs. Pretty fun, powerful deck. We were just dominating games, which is always a nice thing to see. So, man, successful Decksperiment for sure. And a lot of potential here. All that said, if you have any thoughts or questions on this deck, or you just want to share your excitement to see something cool and new, clearly I'm pretty pumped. You know where to leave those comments down below. I thank you so much for watching, and until next time, game on.